He's still the most listened to voice when it comes to oil and gas in the country. What's it going to do? What's going to happen down the road? What do you think the price in 6 months? He's on all the talk shows. And when he goes on, you go on some of these talk shows. He was on a Hannity show last week, and Hannity didn't want to talk about the Pickens plant. He wanted to talk about something critical of the president or critical of somebody else. But not with Boone. You don't do that. He came there to talk about the Pickens plant. And whatever question he got from John Hannity, he got an answer about energy and how much we're importing and how important it was. And I think it made a much better program than kicking somebody in politics around. You know, it's a lot of fun for 30, 40 years, but then you would move on to something else. And if I'd have stayed on message the way Boone stays on message, we might be in the presidential library today. So.
Okay, let me go into my mission. I see this as a mission for me. How did I get the mission? It was many, many years in the business prepared me for the mission. And as it unfolded, I started to become very sensitive to what politicians said about energy.
Well, I think it needs a lot like the spirit, as I said earlier, of this institute. You know, we're reaching out, we're trying to learn, we're trying to be creative. We want people to know more about what's going to happen in the future. And Boone understands how important it is, particularly to the younger people in this audience, and there are many of them, about the role that energy will play, or the role that if we don't have energy, it will play in the future.
I'm Senator Sam Brownback. We're here at Lawrence, Kansas. Just had the Boone Pickens presentation to several hundred people. And I think it's going quite well. What is interesting to me is kind of the evolution of the thinking within Congress. A long time people have said, well, we need some sort of energy proposal. Now you're seeing the details of it coming together. And a lot of it has pieces of what Boone has been talking about. What we need to do on transmission, strong support for renewable and wind. I think the natural gas piece is probably one that's a weaker piece of it right now. But if people look at what it is that we're going to do to replace foreign oil, that piece is going to have to come more and more into play. So I think the message is penetrating, and I think the time is right, and we're seeing more interest in it, and it's getting to the nuts and bolts of it. It's beyond kind of the visionary piece of it. It's now down to, okay, practically, how do we get this done? So I'm quite optimistic. I'm also very optimistic just on a personal level for Kansas, that as we look to our future, that a big part of this can be based upon renewables, based out of wind, or if it's biodiesel out of soy oil, or if it's ethanol out of cellulosic or grain, or even, as I mentioned a little earlier today, a hydrogen fuel cell locomotive being built in Topeka. I think this is a big part of our growth as a state in the future, is to grab pieces of this energy pie that have been going to Saudi and Venezuela and Russia and do them here. And that develops kind of, for us here, kind of a practical piece of it, that this is good for Kansas. It's good for the United States. It's the right thing for us to do in the world. It's also good for Kansas. And I'm excited about that.